What's good, YouTube? It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions in Boston community. Shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. In this particular video, we're going to talk about the site for the SWAC Championship Game. Now, over the years, there's been multiple locations for the SWAC Championship Game. In some instances, it was played, in Birmingham, Alabama, at a neutral location. Right now, the way the SWAC Championship Game is presently constructed, the home team or whoever has a better record in the SWAC in terms of the SWAC Championship Game, they host the SWAC Championship Game. Then in the past, SWAC Championship games have been held in Houston at Reliance Stadium. And myself and one of my friends, we were talking about, like, where should the championship game be held? And in addition to where the SWAC championship game should be held, how should the revenue split go for the championship game? So, we just were talking and we just kicking around ideas because, certain games in the SWAC and HBCU football, they garner and they generate a lot of attention, a lot of fanfare, a lot of fan support. And in addition to that, it seems like certain locations just kind of draw a bigger crowd. Now, just to give you an example, in the SWAC, the two teams that really seem to, bring a crowd with them in terms of traveling well is Southern and Jackson State. And for whatever reason, Southern fans, they support the Jaguars. But it seems like a lot of fans, they prefer to go to away games than home games for whatever reason. I don't know how prevalent that is across the SWAC, but definitely for Southern, it's real prevalent. And of course, Jackson State fans, they really support J State. And, at a certain point, like in the later 90s when Southern and Jackson State was playing in the SWAC championship game, like, people don't realize this at the time. Southern and Jackson State, for a couple of years, they kind of flip-flop. Southern was one, and J State was two, and J State was one, and Southern was two. Like, they led 1AA in attendance for 1AA schools. Now, they had bigger programs that eventually ended up moving up to 1A, well, now FCS and FBS. But at the time, when it came to attendance, two SWAC schools led 1AA, and at the time, people didn't even talk about it. But, it was obvious and transparent when we would go to J State game, when Southern would play at Jackson. It got to a point where, I think it's probably one of the bigger games for Southern outside of the Bayou Classic, but it got to a point I'm like, whoa, this game it's overcrowded. Like, I can't do it. I'm not a claustrophobic person, but, in Jackson Memorial Stadium, it's like, man, people are on top of people. And, they saying attendance is this. It's no way. You got people literally sitting all in the aisle, sitting on top of each other. And, of course, it's been similar in certain instances when it came to the Bayou Classic. But, of course, Superdome seating is different. And, it don't feel as tight. But when it come to, like, the SWAC championship game, we talked about, whether it should be played in Birmingham, whether it should be held at, whoever has a better record, whatever the case may be, should it be held at a neutral site. My friend, basically, he was saying he think it should be held at a neutral site, and the team from the East and the team from the West should split the revenue 50-50. And then he was like, well, no, maybe the team that wins should just take all the money. He was a little bit indecisive, and I'm like, well, I think a team like Alcorn State, I think that's kind of, even though Alcorn State has had a nice campus for years, I think them, winning the SWAC championship, them having their little run, prior to J State, becoming what J State used to be, I really think that kind of, it helped Alcorn's program. And I think the same thing with J State. I think even though Coach Prime, we're able to get a lot of sponsorships and and get people, to, put money into the program, I think, with him having the success that they had recently, I think from a funding standpoint in terms of, athletic program, I think that really is really gonna help J State. So, basically we just kind of kick back and forth the idea of, who should, get the lion's share, or should the revenue split be 50-50 for the SWAC championship game. And basically, we were like just kind of kicking around ideas. Me personally, I went to the SWAC championship game when Southern played Alcorn State in 2019 at Alcorn. And, he was talking about how he went to the SWAC championship game in Reliance Stadium when Southern played against J State. So, the idea we just kind of kicked around is like, should it be a home game? Should it be a neutral site game? Me personally, I'm like, well, I think it should be a neutral site game. And then he was like, where should it be held? And, who should get the revenue? And I'm like, well, the revenue split should either be 50-50 or the team that wins the game, maybe it should be 60-40 in their direction, as opposed to, the team with the better record or whatever the case may be. And, he was like, well, where should it be held? Should it be held in Birmingham? And I'm like, nah, Birmingham never did move me as even though it was the home of the SWAC headquarters, I really wasn't big on games being held there. He was like, Atlanta. I'm like, nah, because, back in '96, I went to, my parents brought us to the Heritage Bowl. Well, it's a Celebration Bowl now, but, it was a Heritage Bowl back then. And, of course, even though they've brought it back at one point, it wasn't generating a lot of interest unless, certain MEAC teams went and certain SWAC teams went. So, Southern J State, they brought a crowd. It depends on which year Alcorn State bring a crowd. But, certain other teams really, really didn't generate as much buzz and interest. And the same thing from on the MEAC side of things. So, and plus, in addition to that, you're going to play, you don't want to play the SWAC championship game in Atlanta. Then you want to turn around and play Celebration Bowl in Atlanta. It wouldn't make sense. So, we kind of narrowed it down to maybe Houston and Dallas. I was more of a proponent of Dallas. He was more of a proponent of Houston. So I think it just kind of depends on, what's your flavor, where do you think it should be held. And, of course, I'm almost certain some people think it should be, a home game for the team with the better record. And maybe whoever wins it should get the bigger revenue split, just take all the whole pot. So it just kind of depends on your take on a particular matter. Me personally, I just said, hey, whoever wins should get, 60-40 split in their favor. And in addition to that, the neutral site that I preferred was, Dallas. Somewhere in Dallas. Maybe Jerry World, maybe another site, another location. But that's it for this particular video. Next video, we're going to address the It's Too Early HBCU Top 10, and any content creators when it comes to SWAC football, whatever the case may be, or just the SWAC in general. I'm supportive of it. So it's not necessarily me, bashing the list. It's just kind of my perspective and my take on it. How would I rearrange and construct that list? So that's going to be the upcoming video. If you saw any value in this video, like the video, share the video. Any future video ideas, put in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. Also, click the notification bell so you can be alerted anytime I post any new videos. You can follow me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms. And if you have not done so, check out episode 9 of Bayou Sports Talk. Episode 10 is going to be this coming Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's it for this video. Hopefully, you have a blessed, phenomenal evening. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace and blessings.